Hi there, traders. This is Brad Gilbert with the FX Market Insight for Friday, the 15th of November. All right, now as we sort of enter into the start of Friday in the Asian session here, it's a bit of a slight shift in the analysis. Now, if I just give you a bit of a quick look over here, there's this impeachment stuff, which a lot of people were discounting, especially Trump, is really gaining some momentum, and there's things are developing, which is going to be very pushing against the whole Trump facade. So Pelosi says Trump has admitted to bribery. That's going to be big news over there. And if it's proven, well, then the impeachment process will be a lot clearer. It's also good to see the Fed Chairman Powell pushing back on Trump. Like I say, basically, there's no booming US market. So how can the big economy be threatened by a bust? But, he's actually so smart, where Trump is such an idiot, economically, as far as sort of requesting negative rates and these sorts of things. I think a lot of this stuff is finally coming back to haunt Trump. Now, what we've seen with this sort of little shift in the geopolitical sense is we're seeing the dollar sort of roll back on itself. Now, just in the analysis, it's still going up sort of overall, but very weak. It's running out of steam. And what that does is it unsettles. When the US dollar becomes or loses momentum, you'll see this across a lot of the pairs, obviously the US dollar being the other side of pretty much everything. We're starting to see a lot of the analysis really go back into the range, and what we're talking about is really weak support and resistance levels, right? They aren't really the best ones to be hitting. That's all we have at the moment, but ideally what I'm looking for is daily trend lines and focusing on those, because they're the ones that are really going to give us the opportunity. So that's where we are at the moment. Now, the Aussie employment numbers came out weak yesterday. Aussie's going down. It's going down on the hourlies and the daily charts. But at the moment, we've lost momentum. And that's through, it wasn't a big negative number, but there's no real follow through in the economic numbers. Now, coming into today's trading, upcoming data, well, we've got two US releases, which is, always a good thing. Not great that they're Friday, because you know what, we're running out of time before the market shut. Retail sales, industrial production numbers come out about 45 minutes apart. That's probably where the action's going to be. And at the start of that US session, there's been a bit of risk on, risk off situation where you can tuck in and take some cash out of the market. This data may give us a bit more of an idea of which way that will go. So you may see a short-term trading opportunity around the releases. Okay, the best thing to do is watch the equity markets for that risk on, risk off scenario. Work out which way you've got to be trading. Just a quick look at the charts before I finish up. You can see the Aussie here. Now I've removed that old support line, but this is where if you're not short, you should be looking to get short back towards there. I can still see the Aussie drifting lower. In saying that, there's mixed news about this China-US trade deal, which is a good deal, is good for China, good for Australia and New Zealand. We're not really seeing much of that at this stage. So we just have to be a little bit cautious with your overall risk you're putting in the market until we find out what that information is. The Kiwi, after that no change in rates, shot up. Now we're sort of back drifting sideways. If anything, it's like it wants to catch up with the Aussie. Now, that geopolitical risk, safe haven trade, is it back on? I don't know, but it was enough to diffuse it. Broke down through 108.55. Now coming back to test. That should act as resistance for the time being. Euro also running out of steam, that short-term downtrend with that, risk-off scenario, or risk on, I should say. The Euro just doing enough to get above that recent, downtrend, sitting above here. Now, at this point, I would expect 110, the figure, this trend line, to act as support. So, you know what? If the US numbers come in weak, then we may see the Euro close up towards 110.80, right? That's what you got to be thinking. If the US data comes in strong, well, then it slowly drifts back down below 110, but we'll have to wait and see, obviously. Sterling, well, back sideways. UK election, huge weekend. I'd like to see what's happening in the UK. Be good. I think there's a chance for the Brexiteers to get a bit more of a run on, get a deal. We'll probably see sterling back at 130 something next week if that happens. Now, dollar CAD, it's become very orderly, and with oil falling here, it does support a move back to the top side. But with no major Canadian data, it's going to come down to the US data Friday. It's not exactly right next to the levels, and it's just been dancing sideways. So it's a bit of a tricky one. But once again, those US numbers are the key to trading over the next 24 hours. The Asian session, I can't see anything unless there's some major geopolitical blow-ups. Same for Europe. It's going to be these US numbers that are going to be the catalyst for a shift in the markets, right? So keep an eye on those. All right, guys, that's it for me. It's been one of those weird, odd weeks. I mean, we've had a few, I've got to say. But if you're looking for opportunities, start planning ahead for next week. You will start to see the where the opportunities lie. There's a huge amount of data. The Canadian dollar will be in focus, come Tuesday, Wednesday. FOMC minutes, ECB accounts, and then we've got a run of euro numbers. So, the main pairs for me are still euro, Aussie, well, probably less so Kiwi at the moment, but these pairs, they're providing short-term opportunities. So don't get sort of too concerned about no major plays. There aren't any at the moment, right? So if you see your 20, 30, 40 points, just lock it in and wait for the bigger opportunities to come. That's what you're trying to do in these markets where there are geopolitical events in control. You're just trying to take the cash out of the market, wait for the trending opportunities. They will come when they come, right? We can't force them. All right, guys, have a good trade week, and we'll see you on the airwaves there. Cheerio.